What's up, guys? Welcome back to Esk8exchange, the podcast where we talk about electric skateboards, MBoards, Esk8con, really just the electric skateboard industry as a whole. Today in the studio, we've got James and Jacob, which is awesome.
Trying to get situated. Don't mind me.
Yeah, we had one hell of a morning trying to get all the podcast stuff set up. We adjusted a few things, and now,
we literally just sat down too. We're still like,
yeah, I'm like
I'm over here
everything.
adjusting my boxers, so don't mind me, guys.
So anyways, a couple quick notes right off the bat. Esk8con date is set. It is April 5th through the 7th, 2024 here in Las Vegas. Tickets will go on sale Black Friday, so just keep that in mind. I'm excited to see you all, so that's pretty cool. I think that's the only announcement we really have right now.
We can't really announce the place because of the permit laws.
Yep. So we're almost there as far as announcing the location. It's going to be great. It's going to be downtown or on the strip somewhere.
New improved track.
New and improved track.
For sure, new and improved.
Yep.
I can't really tell everything.
I know.
No, we'll give you guys some secrets.
Can't say that. No, can't say that.
Nope.
So,
we'll give you guys some shit here in a little bit.
So I don't really have a ton of announcements today, but if you want to follow along a little closer, you can definitely join our Discord server. We chat about all of our new stuff all the time. We definitely reveal more there than really anywhere else. It's like our close-knit group there, so that's fun. So, okay, today's an interesting episode because we're filming this on Friday. I think it is either Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Yeah.
Lacroix announced they are suspending operations.
Right.
So we have no show really prepared. We just wanted to dive into this, talk about our experience with them, as business people, and try to kind of give you guys a different perspective on everything. What do you guys think? You think this is
on how difficult these businesses really are to run?
Yeah.
So there's that perspective I think that gets lost, that we just play around with skateboards and we build these things all day, but at the end of the day, yes, it is a business.
Yep.
It is.
James, can you pull up the official statement and read that for us?
Yep, and I also just sent it to you.
I have it too. Would you like me to read it?
No, I would love to read it. Let's see. Official statement for immediate release today. We have a heartbreaking announcement to make, one we wish we would never have had to write. Effective immediately, the Laqua board company is suspending its operations. The last 12 months have been incredibly challenging, and we were never able to climb back on top. Many factors are at play, and the 10 consecutive interest rate hikes have created the coup de grace with our creditors. Is that fancy enough?
Coup de grace.
Coup de grace with our creditors. We tried everything to pull it off. The headwind is simply too strong. We are in discussion with several companies to keep the Laqua brand alive. The objective is and always has been to ship every order placed and honor the warranties. However, we want to be clear. We do not know when nor if that will happen. For now, we don't have any precise timeline for the completion and shipment of the pending orders. I want to thank Seb, Pedro, and the two Charleses that did everything they could with me to try to pull it off. You guys really did the impossible, and blah, 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 blah. We'll keep you guys updated.
Okay. That's pretty intense message. I don't know if I actually read that in full until right now.
Yep, that's it right there.
I did not realize they had mentioned the ship orders, like pending orders.
Everything's kind of stopping right now, bro.
So the assumption there is that they are on a freeze.
Yep.
Their creditors have them on a freeze because they're looking at all their assets at this point and saying every single thing inside of your shop, has a value. And you would have how much you owe us.
Yep. So. And now that has not leveled out, and you are in the, what would you call it, the red? You're in the red now.
They've been operating in the red.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're
didn't you guys kind of say, because I remember a while ago when you guys made the official statement to the company, and then we were like, hey, we're done with Stormcore. We're gonna switch over to something else, and then
that's a whole.
We'll get into that.
Jumping the gun over
here.
Yeah,
so you're going way too deep.
Okay. Yeah.
Too deep, too soon, bro.
So it's certainly interesting. The issue, like, creditors are wild, bro. Like, the problem with this business, I don't think, maybe people understand, but maybe some of you guys don't, is that it is so capital intensive. It is wild. Like, how much money you need to make a little bit, right? So it's really, really hard to get the capital you need without getting outside help. So the issue, I don't know what they did with their creditors. I don't know if they have like investors or if they just got bank loans. Like, it sounds like there's real people involved, not just like a loan. Or maybe they do have loans. Maybe they've defaulted on loans. I don't know. again, they haven't said anything to us. No one has any real knowledge of behind the scenes, but we can kind of make some guesses or, assumptions, but we may be totally off, but this is just kind of how we see it as business owners, as people who work within the industry. So,
and worked with them. We worked with Lacroix for almost 2 years.
Yeah, that's true. We did business with them. We've done tens of thousands of dollars with them. I mean, probably closer to $40,000 probably with them,
a lot
maybe
of
more.
Stormcores have come in and come out.
Yeah, and ultimately we were very happy with the Stormcore, but again, we'll get into that in a little bit. But I have to say, hindsight 2020, I can't say I'm like 100% blindsided. However, I was very shocked to see the news. Like, absolutely, I did not expect that. I figured that Lacroix, I'm sure, had many challenges just because of the niche and the segment that they kind of go after. But I figured they'd always just make it work. But
yeah, very true. Well, what's nice is that Lacroix stepped up and did the right thing and put out the statement and then was like, hey, look, everybody, this is what's going on. Sorry, we can't do anything right now, but like our hands are tied. We kind of have to stop shipping, unlike the other company, Lycan, who just stopped telling anybody anything,
they
kept
fully
taking
ghosted.
money, ghosted people, and sometimes sent stuff, sometimes didn't. And then now their website has like officially been off, and so now you can no longer buy anything from them. But
so with Lacroix's website, it's still up, but they have removed all the product listings. So it's an empty. The website loads and it's there, and their logo's there, but the site's pretty much empty at this point.
Now, oddly enough, you can still go over to Lacroix Europe. So I'm not sure if that was a separate entity, if that's operated by somebody else,
like a sister company.
I'm assuming they have parts. My guess is those were purchased from the Lacroix headquarters.
And I believe everything's still sold out over there, right? Oh, James.
Yep, sorry, dude. Oh, my gosh.
Worst person ever.
I know, right?
It didn't look like it. It looked like you could still get things.
Oh, so maybe they have a small stock left.
I think, if you are in a crunch or you want
well, that might be your last-ditch effort to get some extra parts, so maybe that's what I would do. So, the biggest thing about right now, the community's all super stressed out about getting parts, which certainly is the case. Like, if you have gears or anything in your gear drives, eventually those are going to need replacing. So, I'm hoping that now the problem is they have creditors. So I'm assuming they're not going to just dump all their files out online.
No.
They probably won't, because all those assets are worth something.
They're going to try to sell everything to the highest bidder.
Right. So that's unfortunate, but it would be nice if they could give us, all of the consumables at least, so people could get those machined, but they probably won't.
So I think we can break this down a little bit too. So they've been saying that the last 12 months have been incredibly challenging.
Yeah, because they were talking about interest hikes.
That goes back a long ways.
Yeah, I mean, a year in Esk8 time is a long time.
Right. So then I think,
the Esk8 world,
I think from a bigger perspective, if it's 12 months, it was probably more like 18 to 24 months.
Right.
And in that time, we've seen a couple projects that, who knows?
Right.
Were they successful? Was the foil successful? Was the zip line?
Yeah.
How much money did they put into that? So if those are all factors in it, then it's kind of been building.
Part of me feels like were they was their Esk8 business slipping, and they were feeling like they needed to pivot to the e-foils and the what is that thing called?
It's a zip line.
It's like it pulls you up the mountain.
It's like a zip toe
winch.
It's a winch.
Yeah,
That's what it is. That's the word.
Yeah,
winch. So was their Esk8 business slipping, and they felt like they needed to try to pivot into other industries, or did they get distracted with the other industries and let their Esk8 business slip? I'm wondering which one it was, because that's what happened to Boosted with the scooter. I don't think Boosted surely did not need to pivot. They were not feeling the effects of lesser demand for their product. They were still almost the only ones on the block for a little while, and then they got distracted, I feel like, with the scooters. Obviously, there's a couple of other environmental factors with COVID and tariffs and shit like that, but we have a whole episode on the Boosted thing. So I'm curious to know, was that their attempt at a pivot to save Lacroix, or is that what did them in?
The pivot, right?
Because both of those products would require a lot of money in R&D. Surely they could have used that money to increase margins with their e-skate company. But if there was not a good demand for it, or if there wasn't a high enough demand, you could have all the margin in the world, but if you can't sell a board, you can't sell a board.
I think a lot of it comes down to they just couldn't sell boards because what people do? Does Lacroix have any ambassadors?
Do
they have official ambassadors? Because I can tell you right now, if I hop on YouTube and I go to any YouTube reviewer, any content creator, anything like that, there are no boards that are like really about Lacroix reviews unless that person has spent all the money to buy it, and then you never really see anything about that board on the review or anything. Like, again, I don't know. It's just like really hard to find any information about Lacroix boards.
I think they had a very low key approach as far as they didn't have a marketing real play. They handle their social media. They do some great videos. There's always, their videos were always edited great. They were very informative. But beyond that, they probably missed a huge crowd by just not having those go to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Not having ambassadors, I don't think is a problem.
Yeah.
That's a whole episode in itself is talking about.
Oh, we should probably do an entire ambassadors episode.
Because we've had a couple conversations about that. Oh, my
God.
Here's my opinion. They're shit.
Yep.
Ambassadors are a waste of time.
It kind of is.
So,
it really kind of is.
For somebody to say that, they have really supported a company and pushed them to the next level, it's bullshit.
Right.
You become an ambassador because you already have something and that company wants it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not helping them like you think you are. Anyways, so I totally lost what the hell we were talking about.
We were talking about Lacroix and how they and how they may or may not have missed out on the market by making certain things. But I feel like a big miss was for sure one of three factors: the price, the weight.
Well, here's what I'll say. Yeah, their boards were. I feel like they dialed them all the way up to 110%, right? They would use titanium hardware. They'd use all this stuff that we talk about the rule of diminishing returns a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That titanium hardware and the extra shit, like it increases the price of your overall boards by a lot. When if you dial it back just enough, it brings those boards into the realm of possibility for more people, and you could sell more boards. I'm not saying to make your board shittier. I'm just saying, like, there are things that they could have done for sure. I mean, again, this is Monday morning quarterbacking.
That's why we're here, bro.
That's why we're here.
On my couch.
It's Monday,
right? My coffee.
It's not really. It's Friday, but yeah. Anyways, it's just an interesting perspective. So, like, my thought is, we were talking about this yesterday. Is that their board? Let's just say the average Lacroix board is what, 3Gs?
Yeah.
Okay. Out of all the people who are buying skateboards, how many of them are even willing to consider a $3,000 electric skateboard?
Yeah.
Maybe 5%. Maybe.
I do think though that was their business model all along.
Right.
So they
have the best of the best shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So I believe that even though we look at the titanium hardware and we say, oh yeah, it's super expensive, that doesn't necessarily mean they were getting it super expensive.
That's true.
You work the right angle, you have a connection somewhere, you have a contact. You never know what you get things for. So regardless, their model was built on high-end, high-performance boards. So something happened in between of either
the market spoke or
their model was shit all along.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that we, or at least I, thought was basically the basis of Lacroix's business was the Stormcore.
Right.
And we figured they make all their money off the Stormcore.
We must have, because like all these boutique builders were using them. We were using them. Hoyt was using them. There's more than Defiant uses them. Or
so this will be a good segue into then why we stopped using the Stormcore, because
there we go.
Okay, so here's a couple of things.
Yep.
First off, we loved the Stormcore.
Yep.
It worked great for us.
Very smooth.
Yep. Very smooth.
Reliable.
I
still have a handful of them, and we love them.
Yeah.
The issue was, first off, the pricing was just a touch too high. Like, I mean, we would still buy them, right? We put them in the Endurance. We just bit the bullet. We bought them.
They were expensive. Even for us.
Even for us, they were expensive. So that tells me that tells me their margin on their side was just not good.
Right.
not good enough to be able to wholesale them to boutique builders or whatever you want to call us, wholesale them to OEMs of any kind. So that was one issue. The other issue was the lead times were wild. Like it would, like we would fork over $20,000 to $30,000,
a lot of money,
and then we would sit for
45 days,
12, no, sometimes 8 to 12 weeks,
and then we would get only half the shipment at that.
Right, and then I was like, dude, can you guys send us like 10 just to get us through? And then they would always send us, because they would get them, they'd assemble them, and they'd send them as we would get them. So we'd get like 30 of them done, and then we'd get another 30, which was fine. Like all we needed was enough to continue building boards. But the lead times were insane. And I understand, like they're not making a shit ton of them, so most likely a lot of that lead time was getting the rest of the order together, figuring out who else is going to buy them, so they could put a whole batch of 1,000 or 500 of them in. Right. We only would order 100 at a time. So it's like, if they need 500 to even make it happen, then they need to make sure, all right, well, we need to get, like, Laqua needed to get their money together so they could buy 200 themselves. They need to put our 100 in. They needed to get Defiance 100 in, and whoever else was using them, and get it all together. That's my assumption there. But the fact of the matter is, the lead times were way too long. We do fine in business. However, we still can't afford to let $20,000 sit in the wind for 8 weeks. It just can't.
It's a bad.
We don't have
decision.
That much. I mean,
it's a bad business decision, especially when there's something else out on the market that we can get quicker, that is just as reliable and may or may not be a little bit better.
Ultimately, we did end up switching to Maker X, not because we didn't like the Stormcore. I actually really enjoyed working with Alex. He was very open to discussion and stuff, and Charles was very good at troubleshooting and getting us, set on the right track with their product. But ultimately, it came down to availability is what our issue was. And I always felt like if they were just doubling and tripling down on making just the most badass speed controller ever, they could have run their entire business just off of that alone. I feel like if they were to just get the price of those down to a point where they were really good and really polished, and they could have sold them to every builder here easily.
A Stormcore 60D Plus for $180.
But one of the big things is they did not really want to deal with the troubleshooting and the warranting of them to the OEMs.
Right, that's what I was about to say. So in kind of one of our conversations, he sort of made it clear that retail and resale was not anything they were really interested in. They didn't want to warranty them for secondhand usage. They couldn't control, once it left their factory. So I think when you say
I half agree, though.
When you say, I mean, I do get it, but when you are the market, when you are the big dog on the block,
right?
I'm sorry, but you have to sell out at that point. You say, we'll give them to everybody. You want one? Who wants a car? You want a car? Oprah's giving out cars today. Lacroix may as well be giving out
Look underneath
Stormcores.
Your seat. You
Because
get a free car.
The more that they were going to get on the road, the more that they were going to learn about how the units were progressing. They were going to be able to make Stormcore V2, V3.
That's another thing. They never updated. They never updated
4 years, 5 years now. We've been on the same 2 units with no major changes. No, at least nothing that we know.
Nothing that we noticed. Maybe a small component change here or there.
Be a minor bomb.
Shit, Maker X has come out with 17 new models since we started using them.
Every 2 months.
And that one drives me crazy for other reasons.
That's a little
updating too often is also a pain in the ass because too much shit changes, and then it's like I'm almost nervous every time they come out with a new one because it's like, well, now it's new.
Yeah,
like, what's going to happen with this one?
Price-wise,
then it drives me nuts because so now, like, for example, the DV6S's came out. And I insisted. I was like, I want the DV6 Pros because I know they've been working. So I had them. I pretty much bought the rest of their stock because I want the D6S's to kind of. I want to see what happens.
We gotta put some miles on them real quick.
I don't necessarily want to be the guinea pig.
No, that's my job. Don't worry.
Yeah, right. The D4S has been great.
So far,
so good. The second unit. Yeah. See, though, the first unit, we got a V4, and now we have a V5 D4S. The D5 was good. The D4 we blew.
I blew that one.
Yeah, I think 2 ride. Yeah. So that's my point is, like, I do think that updating too often has a problem, but not updating at all, or at least seemingly not at all, is also an issue.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think it's unfortunate. The Stormcore was a really cool unit. I still think it can be a really good unit. I imagine that IP gets sold off.
Right. So that's the next part.
And I'm all ears.
So there's whispers. Oh, never mind. I'm not.
So I mean, that's the next part of the statement, right? So in discussion, with several
continuing the
companies
statement,
to keep the brand alive. So what do you guys think happens there?
They sell off a couple things.
Well, I imagine they got to get their ducks in a row with their creditors, right? So the credit. See, I wish I knew what
would
creditor
you pay
meant.
for a Lacroix board company?
Oh, for the whole business?
Yeah.
I don't. I'd have to look at their
sheet.
sheet.
They want $1 million?
They want more.
Probably.
You think? I think more.
I think their Stormcore. Well, see, we say that the Stormcore is worth a lot, but it clearly needs work.
Mm-hmm. And if he's not retailing, he's eating the cost going into his own board every time. That's it.
Right.
That thing makes no additional.
But I do feel like a board manufacturer, like for example, we are getting way deeper into board manufacturing. I do feel like there is a value of being able to produce an ESC that you never actually sell to anybody. You just put into your boards.
Yep.
Because you know they work exactly the way you want them to work, and you never retail them, and that's a fine model if you're selling a lot of boards.
Well, look at some of the big dogs. Look at the top 5 companies who sell the most boards, bro. Do they offer their ESCs that you can buy independently? X-Way, Meepo.
Yeah, you could buy all the ESCs from them. My example would be my example would immediately go to Evolve.
Right.
Evolve's got their own ESC.
Yeah,
you can't just buy their ESC.
Okay.
And they don't retail it. It's not open source. They just put it in their boards, and I think there's something valuable there.
Mm-hmm.
But again, to approach Laqua and say we'd like to buy the Stormcore, it's gonna need work because then whoever buys it, they must because you'll get both units. You'll get the 60D and you'll get the higher voltage one, the 100D. Immediately, you're gonna have to take both of those, and you have to immediately go and meet with electrical engineer because it needs something because clearly there were issues. I don't know if it was on a factory level or if it was legitimately a design issue, but someone else is gonna have to determine that. You can't just take their word for it, unfortunately. So it's just an interesting perspective. That was the same issue with the Foxbox. Like that, all the shit hit the fan, and he tried to sell the IP there. No one wanted it.
The files aren't worth anything. The person that created them is. The guys that designed the Stormcore are the ones that I would rather pay because I would say you did really good. Now we need B2. So now it has to be better.
And that's
the next step.
Like we had the opportunity to buy I'll come out and say it. We had the opportunity to buy the Foxbox, and we ultimately decided no because first off, Jason wanted a stupid amount of money for it to the point where I could have paid someone's salary for 2 years to just develop one from the ground up, and it would probably have been better.
100% would have been better.
So
1000%
it would have been better. So why would I give? And that's the same thing I'm going to say about the Stormcore is why would I buy the Stormcore IP for any exorbitant amount of money when I can take that same money and just get one
right
that
made.
You could develop from the ground up
what
better. You want. Yep.
And that's what's going to, so it's either they're going to sell it for pennies on the dollar for what it's actually worth, or it's going to disappear.
Which is what half of what he paid. You know, at this point, he's going to get half of what they paid for everything.
If that. Yeah. Oh, and then they won't even get anything. So then the question is, the creditors are going to determine what that's worth.
There we go.
And they're going to sell it for what they think they can get for it. To God knows who, because they're not really connected with anybody. And I imagine Alex isn't necessarily going to help them find a buyer.
I'm sure there's somebody lined up.
Yeah,
something like this, you know, people's ears go up and it gets excitement. And I think Alex is a very good businessman and has some really deep ties and has some connections, and probably has some connections in the money world. So. You know, I don't think...
Again, this is a lot of speculation. Tons of speculation.
I heard some speculation that Hoyt was getting ready to buy some shit from him and something another.
That would be a whole... That would honestly, I thought about the same thing like 2 days ago, and I said it wouldn't hurt for them to do that.
But it could.
But why?
It's just going to dig them into a bigger hole.
Yeah, that's what
they're just going to be in a bigger hole. So
because at this point, I don't think, I mean, again, I'm not here to disrespect any company. I know how difficult business is, but I don't think Hoyt's going to solve all of their own issues just by having something to be able to produce,
another company,
to be able to manufacture their own ESC. Right. Well, just like I don't think it'll solve any of our issues by being able to produce our own ESC. I do think it's great. Like I do think eventually it fits in our puzzle, right? But for now, if there's already issues with your company, that surely isn't going to fix it. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Good point, dude.
So like being able to manufacture a Stormcore for $100 isn't going to save your margins instead of just buying a Maker X for 150 or 200. Like that's not what's going to do it for you, I don't think.
Well, you got to kind of like look at the market and figure out what people like. Yes, you can build an electric skateboard that you want and that a couple other people want, but you also have to sell that electric skateboard, and it has to come in at a reasonable price.
Right.
And at the end of the day, we've kind of figured out what that price is, and we've kind of started noticing that the market has spoken for that, and the companies that sold above that price are not doing very well and are not here anymore.
I think realistically for any builder to have a business go long, I think your max price for a legit production board is $2,500.
Cannot be more than that, bro. That is the number.
And then anything middle range, $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, I'm like, then you're now into you're niche down too much, and now it's to the point where you're not gonna be able to find enough people to buy your board.
Yeah, you
could build the most beautiful board, but if it's priced too high just because it's beautiful or just because it's made in the U.S., people don't care, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, the conversation has started within the community since this post of supporting the businesses you actually care about. Quit buying from China and Meepo and X8 if you don't care about them, because they don't. No one cares about Meepo. I'm sorry. No one cares. But we cared about Lacroix. We care about...
Meepo doesn't even pay their own ambassadors. I can't drop any names or anything like this, but I know multiple people that put out content and sell boards for them, bro, and have not been paid. You know what I mean? And if companies do that to the people that make them money, fucking quit supporting that shit. It is crazy.
And again, I'm not now. There's some conflict of interest because like we do run Esk8 Economy, do still appreciate those businesses, and we want them to show up. But we can absolutely still give constructive criticism to those businesses.
Do better.
And if I'm just saying, I would just call on the people of the U.S. based people or even people in Europe or Canada, support your local businesses because those are the people who are going to be there for you, and those are the people who are going to be able to work on your shit.
Right.
So hopefully that wakes some people up, and yeah, you're going to spend $200 more on a board if you shop within the U.S., but $200, man, come on, like you can do it, like whatever. So anyway, so that's interesting. I'm just interested to see how this all shakes out. What do you guys think?
What do
you think how it goes? Do you think it just disappears, or do you think we actually see revival?
I think we'll see sort of a I don't know. I don't know there's any point of a revival.
I feel like that end text that says like when and if, I think they know that it's not. I think they know it's not going to happen.
They'll get their money back, and you'll see some Stormcores pop up, and it'll be kind of like a boosted USA thing where the rest of the inventory, is going to get sold. All of those things will happen.
Right.
But you're not going to see any rebranding. I would be very surprised if you saw any of their parts, show up again.
I think the main play for a lot of other companies is to make your own parts that are compatible with their shit.
Correct.
And that's probably what we'll end up doing that. Like people are eventually, here's what's going to happen. People come to us with every make and model board you can think of, and they say, I need a part for this. Do you have anything that's compatible? And we either say yes or no, or, well, we can make it. And that's what's going to happen is Lacroix are going to start popping up left and right with broken shit, and they're going to come to us or whoever their local builder is, and they're going to ask for parts, and either we'll step up and make it, or we'll say, sorry, dude, like,
you want a set of hyper trucks? I'm going to say, we don't make those.
Right. But we make these trucks.
We make this.
And this will work for your board. And that's the thing is, it's like a Lacroix board it's a mountain board. It's a mountain board style, whatever you want to call it. So most of the parts that are already in the market for similar DIY builds will work for their builds.
Like you can go to, okay, never mind, sorry.
And somebody will, make them better, and then we'll start this cycle again.
Right.
But we're in a lull right now.
Yeah.
What is new and exciting in Esk8 right now? There is
shockboard system.
There's one, and that's
and as much as I love David, I really, really hope he can nail his margins, because that's going to be a tough business too.
I'm excited to see it hit the market and see how the market feels about it and gets it going and everything, and I'm excited. Yeah,
it's just really interesting. We see. I don't think it's a coincidence that we've got the two, I feel like, most like premium brands, right? Cali, Lacroix, both out within the same year.
Oh yeah.
I bet you we see another premium brand go out in by the end of 2024.
Oh man, is this gonna be called the Thomas curse
right.
or what?
Well,
dude?
I actually just thought, is it the Thomas curse or is this the forums curse?
Ooh,
because that's where both of those companies really laid it down. They had all of the support from the forums,
all of them,
right? But then what, right? All of this support. Oh, they're the best. Buy them. But nobody's actually buying them, right? Those guys they're doing their own thing. So.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
good take, dude.
But I like the Thomas curse better.
Yeah, well, right. Well, because he made the video.
Yeah,
the king of the boutique boards.
Thomas, we're calling on you, sir.
I know, right, dude? It's better. So he makes a video, and it's got the Cali, and it's got the Lacroix, and it's got the BioBoard, which are all pretty much classed up in the same, bro. Those are the big dogs.
I've heard the term hyperboard.
Yep. And when the video came out, we were like,
boutique board. We're gonna call them a hyperboard.
Hyperboards.
And when the video came out, we were like, well, the Cali's not even a thing anymore. Like, I don't even know why that's kind of in the video. And now the Lacroix is out too, so it's like 2 out of the 3 of his boards.
So that's why we call it the Thomas curse. Thomas curse.
Boards.
No offense, Thomas. You know
so,
bro. Yeah, it's bio next.
Here's what happens. The businesses who are not, I don't know, maybe BioBoard's full time.
Yeah.
But my assumption is a lot of these small builders, they are not full time. They're not full time builders. They have this side project. They have a full time job. BioBoards could last 50 years if he doesn't depend on that business to eat, to pay his mortgage, to pay for a very nice warehouse in the woods in Canada. Like all those things matter. Like we have machines that we have to pay for. We have our rent. We have payroll. Like those are the things that can eventually cripple a business. If you're a one-man show, you could last forever. Sometimes.
And this is not a pack and ship type of place either. Like I've seen some Esk8 warehouses, and it's literally just a shit ton of boxes.
Right.
There's just boxes after boxes, and I'm like, well, what's in everything? Just boards. What do you guys do? Just ship boards.
Yeah.
They don't build anything. Unpack and pack
shit. Sounds boring as hell.
Super boring.
That sounds boring as shit.
So here's what I'll say, and I think here's a few things that I think companies could do to help their case. I do think investing in manufacturing is a big one.
Super big.
Taking control of your supply chain is huge, which is, again, I'm biased because that's the route we're going, is we've invested a lot of money and a lot of time in being able to take control of our manufacturing, and I do think it will pay off.
Yeah, I feel like it already is paying off.
It already is, yeah. Like anyways, I'm not here to compare myself to Lacroix.
No, like, don't get me wrong. We're not trying to stroke.
I'm just saying I do think that this year and next year it will divide businesses into 2 categories: ones that are sustainable and ones that are not. And it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Shit, we could be gone in a year. We never know. Like, you literally never know.
Yep.
However, I don't believe that's the case, especially with what we're cooking up right now.
Very excited about all the new stuff.
Dude. Our new board, we're dropping a new board, and it's going to be at a really, really good price for what you get. That's all I will say.
Ugh. And we have a couple secrets too that we've been talking around the shop that I just cannot wait to tell people.
Dude, I'm so stoked.
Woo.
But it's interesting. It's still it's a bummer, and unfortunately, there's always comments about there's always someone who believes that the Lacroix team has had some ill intent toward the end.
Sure.
I don't think that's the
that
case
vibe at all.
I genuinely think it's straight bankruptcy. And that's another thing that people drive me nuts about. When there's pending orders and a company goes bankrupt, they didn't steal your money and run away. Literally, there's just nothing left, and they went out of business with a pending order of yours.
Yep.
They didn't get trust me, if the better option would have been to continue business and ship your shit.
Sure.
There's no way that the little mini cash grab at the end is nowhere near the amount of money they could have made just continuing the business. So it's I saw a few of those comments where it's there's allegations of theft and all this shit. It's just that's just not. I really don't think that's what happened. I don't believe that team is ever really shady at all.
Do you think people should be doing chargebacks or any of that right now if they haven't?
Yeah, I do think that.
Yep, get the chargebacks going.
I do think that because at the end of the day, you should not just let your money go just to help a business who's already bankrupt. You might as well, because guess what? All that money is going to the creditors anyways.
Fuck that! I gotta pay my rent, dude. If I'm not getting my $5,000 electric skateboard, that's rent, bro.
Lots of rents.
That's a couple months worth of rent
rents
for sure, bro. I need that.
Yeah, like I would say yes, that's what you should do. Because at this point, I don't believe the Lacroix team will get anything else out of it.
Right.
It sounds like they're in a mountain of debt. All that's being sold is going to go to pay off their debt. If they're bankrupt, if their company is going under bankruptcy anyway, it doesn't matter if all that money is paid back to the creditors anyway. The creditors are going to write it off.
It's all free
so
labor
get
right
your money out, and they will deal with it. I don't think, like, because you're not going to get your orders. So there's no point in just donating your money to the creditors. Like, that's all you would end up
just
doing.
giving your money to Trudeau.
Yeah.
Trudeau.
Yeah,
Trudeau. We already know he's dude. I seen some shit the other day about people talking about turkeys are $150 in Canada.
Canada's going through it.
Holy
it sounds like Canada
shit.
is not a very friendly place for business right now, just because of the economy and the nonsense that's going around. I don't know. I'm not a Canadian resident, so I don't know.
We got a couple fans that are
but
Canadian
it does not
residents.
sound like it is. It is very easy for Canadian businesses.
Hey,
at the moment.
to our Canadian fans, for sure, shout out to I'm probably butchering this name, Alcalia.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking
Canada,
about.
bro. Fucking, how is it, bro? Let us know in the comments. Is it lovely? Are you riding mooses out there, or do you chase anything while you're eating? Yeah, Meeses, the meese.
So, anyways, I just wanted to reiterate: this is not us shitting on Lacroix.
Nah,
I
it's a
understand
bummer, bro,
how hard it is, and the only reason why MBoards is even around still is because when I started it and when shit was going down with me, I was living at home. So I was fine. Like, business was slow. I didn't get paid. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, but that's not how it is.
Ma, where's the meatloaf?
Like,
Fuck, I never know what she's doing back there.
That's not how it is when you start having a team of 5, 6, 10 people with like land you have to pay for and payroll. Like, that's not how it goes. Then you have to start. Then all of a sudden you see the sales decline and the revenue decline and
the wages go up.
The wages go up because we have to.
It's cheaper.
No, so it's like it's a slippery slope, and sometimes it does happen pretty fast.
Yep.
So, anyways, I hopefully this is not a big doom and gloom episode. I do think there's something to learn about.
There's quite
this
a few
whole
lessons.
thing.
There's
and you know
multiple lessons.
You know what sucks is I do feel like the barrel was a great step in the right direction.
Yep.
That board was a fucking great deal.
Was almost there, bro.
My jaw hit the floor.
I was like, God damn, $1,800 or $1,900 for that.
They were getting close,
good,
bro.
They
but then you got on it and you rode it, and it was like, at least that's how I felt when I rode it.
Actually, see, we had one come through the shop, and I actually really liked it.
I
actually, if I had to buy a board, I actually might have bought that one.
Only way that I liked riding it was on the 6s. The 8s, I hated it, bro, because my feet were constantly touching it, and I had to stand.
Oh yeah, see, I rode it on 6s, and I thought it was great.
And it just wasn't very fast, bro. There was
to be fair though, the gearing that Andy had on his board was not, I don't think, stock. Yeah. So he had switched the tires around and not switched any of the gearing around. So I think even if their stock gearing wasn't great, I think with a simple gear ratio change, that board again would have been great.
It could.
I still think it was very polished for what it was, for the price it was. And I think they did a good job on it. And I felt like that was a great step in the right direction. They were going to give some of these companies a run for their money. And I'm curious how many of those they sold. My assumption is not many.
Why did that not take off, bro?
I don't know.
Inventory.
Well, right. That was another issue is you go on their website and they have like a 4-week lead time to build a board out. And I'm just like, then I'm like, well, damn, they have good demand. They can only, it takes them 4 weeks to get a board out because they're constantly building boards. But realistically, maybe it was they just didn't have the parts for it. They needed to wait for boards to get in so they could build the money up to buy the parts. Again, speculation. No idea if that's true. But it would make sense now looking back if that was the case. So I don't know. But again, I do feel like that board would have done well. And I still think a board of that in that price range and that form factor would do well still.
Yep.
If the right company did it. And,
it just when they added the extra $1,000 essentially to it is
for the sport.
Yeah. I mean, just their
boards
in general.
Barrel Super Sport.
Yeah. Their boards in general minus the barrels were about $1,000 overpriced.
Oh yeah, for
sure.
Yeah.
Like because we've gone through their price sheeting, and I've gone through and spec'd out what it would cost, and I believe we could come out with a very, very comparable boards all across their entire board, aside from the barrel, for $1,000 less than every single one of their builds,
right?
And have fine margin
and be fine with it.
The issue again is like the Canadian taxes. Like Canada is very tax burdened. We're in Nevada. We don't even have state income tax. Like we have a huge benefit just by where we live and where we're manufacturing out of. Being in the U.S. is a huge help. Compared to Canada.
Location.
It does matter. So it's just very interesting. Like I'm just it's unfortunate. And again, Alex, I hope if you do watch this,
Yeah.
I do appreciate what you've done.
Mad respect for what you've done.
Yeah, super.
We have mad respect for what you've done. It's just
bummed,
interesting, and we're just speculating, just because people are going to speculate anyway.
People are going to watch, and we got to tell them what we think.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily defending Alex either, because I don't know what's happened behind closed doors. I'm just saying, like, I respect the design work that they've done, the builds that they've pulled off, and the business they ran for the years that they did run it. But I hope it all went down in an up and up way, I guess, is all I can say.
I guess I'm keeping mine forever now.
Yeah, you have yours. So here's my question. So these Lacroix that are popping up on Facebook Marketplace for fucking $4,000.
My gosh.
So what? So now do I just get to offer $2,000 because it's?
I would say immediately the fact that Lacroix no longer exists makes all these boards way less valuable.
Okay.
Significantly less valuable because of part issues.
Yeah.
Because you can't go buy parts.
Yeah. There may come up some quote unicorn stuff if prototypos, if there's any of those out there.
Yeah.
Maybe the 18-3 barrels could be popular if that catches on, but yeah, I don't know. I think you're going to see them starting to get DIY'd. You're going to start seeing the 12S's turn into 18s and 20s, and you're going to see conversions with new trucks, because ultimately the package that is still very usable is the deck and enclosures.
I do believe the only main thing that people are really gonna get fucked on are their gear drives.
Yep.
Gear drives in those trucks.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need components.
If you need a specific component for those trucks,
if it's time to look into a different gear drive.
So it sounds like what's going to end up happening is people, and what sucks is when your gear drives go, you're going to have to replace your trucks.
Have to.
Yep.
So now, literally, it's going to come down to you breaking a single gear in your gear drives is going to lead to you needing
$1,000
new gear drives and new trucks.
One gear drive will cost
that one
$1,000.
gear, that one $40 steel gear is going to cost you $1,000. Now that's the big issue.
That's
anyone who's on belts, you're all golden. Yeah. Everyone on belts will be fine, because most people on belts are on Matrix 2s.
Yep.
Or I guess if you're a barrel user, you've got the hyper lights, which if you break one of those trucks, you're also gonna have to buy trucks. But you can just buy Matrix 3s.
But who the fuck's breaking those trucks, bro?
It happens. You crash your shit. Yeah.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And parts go bad. Things do happen.
Things do not last forever. People will ride boards for 4 years and then bitch that their truck broke. It's like you've put 2,000 miles on these things. You beat the hell out of it. I mean, eventually shit breaks.
Just taking a short step backwards, on that kind of style board until somebody grabs it and says, "Hey, we're gonna move this forward." I know I've seen a few boards in the past that sort of pop up. They look really nice, but you can't take them to production. So, it's what's going to be the next. Will there be another big company like Lacroix? It'll be a while.
It'll be a while.
None of these companies are.
We got to fill the shoes, guys. We got this shit.
Evolve is big. They're big. The Chinese companies are big. But beyond that, to say, that an Esk8 company is a large staff or something.
No. I mean, even the big companies we know even Evolve's got a small staff.
Right. If you have more than 10 on an Esk8 staff,
that's a big staff.
That's a big company, dude.
That's what I'm saying. So
I can't even imagine what we would do with 10.
It's just very odd that we feel, we live in a world of super high expectations, but the reality is, this is really what's going on. This is really how difficult it still is.
I think the only way you can get away with 10 is if you are OEMing and manufacturing parts for other Esk8 companies, which is what we envision our business to be, is eventually we will have someone who here in-house making decks all day. We have someone doing the machining. We have someone doing the batteries, and we will do all the OEM shit.
An actual engineer on site.
Yeah, someone who actually can do all this shit. And that's the only way I can see having a staff of 10. And even probably that, you still probably need to have alternate industries you're manufacturing for. So then you're just really a manufacturing company who also has an in-house Esk8 business. Right. But then it's that's really strange, because then your MBoards maybe is only going to be 50% of what a manufacturing business.
But the lights are on, brother.
But the lights are on, and the brand
show
continues.
Will go on.
So that's the thing, is I think I've actually been really hard on myself for being a little scattered, a little spread out, because we're constantly trying this and trying that and pivoting left and right. But I do think it's actually kept our business alive, because I think if we had doubled or tripled down on one thing, on a speed controller or a $3,000 board or a board that's just like anything like that, I think we would have done ourselves in. But because we accept service for parts all the, I mean, we had, I think, 7 boards come through this shop this week.
This week, dude.
I mean, they're all gone.
Yeah.
They're all serviced
all
and gone.
Fixed.
We do our custom battery packs. We do our custom machining. Like all that shit, I do think is essential to keep our business going because, like we all said, like you have to have insane volume to be able to like run these businesses like Lacroix was running theirs, or
right.
You know, I don't know. That's just my opinion, man. It's just tricky.
Hard, man.
All right, so who's next?
Oh, I'm not
Here's
going to
a
put that
question.
evil out there,
No,
bro.
no,
I'm
you
not
guys
gonna
aren't going to answer it. I'm not going to answer it either.
I mean, there are a handful of
professional.
businesses out that exist that I am shocked they are still open. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, that is very true.
I'm not going to name names because I only wish success for everybody. But
a lady doesn't kiss and tell, so I'm not
that's
going
true.
to.
So no, we will not. I'm not even going to hint at it because it's
Then
not fair.
Then we
and I
won't
could be
have
totally
another
wrong.
show. Then we'll have, we won't have another show. We've got the
Yeah.
Boosted show. We had the Lacroix show. We never really did one on Cali. I didn't know really.
You know what?
About Cali,
I didn't even care that much.
It just it just happened. That one happened fast. And
Cali
swift
fucking out ghosted people, built shit super bad at the end, burned. I think 2 houses are now burned down because of his corners cut at the end. I have no interest in even
I seen a
talking
picture
about
of him
it.
sitting on a fucking beach sipping a Mai Tai in Costa Rica.
So
Right.
again, that is just what's. We don't know the story of that one either.
And,
However,
Nestor, if
batteries.
you're watching this, dude, and you want to tell me, fucking hit me up on IG. Let us know.
I mean, all I know is batteries definitely were shipped without fish paper rings,
Oh yeah.
without the proper insulation, which did lead to battery fires, which is like a huge no-no. Even back when I started building batteries 7 years ago, and they were absolute dog shit, we still use those. We still use those.
I like that you can admit that you had failure in the end, bro, and you can be honest about it and be like, you know what, I did something, I fucked up, it is what it is, I learned. Can you take your foot out of my asshole now and let's move on?
I think at this point, we're finally at the point where they've let the shit go because I've spent years trying my fucking best, like actually improving shit, making Esk8con to connect with the community, like all this shit. I spent my entire career. I mean, I'll call it a career. This is my only fucking career I've got going. So I spent my entire career trying to take an accidental business startup to make it something that we can all be proud of and people aren't shitting on every day. Which at this point, like, what we used to be like, someone would mention us on Facebook and the comments would just be filled with bullshit, like, you know, they suck, this, whatever. And now it's like the exact opposite, which is just awesome. And I still know we have a lot of improving to do. A lot of our shit. Like,
not even close
we
to
spent
perfect.
so much time perfecting our batteries to the point where they're really good now. Now we're going to go through a lot of, like, comb through all of our catalogs and start figuring out how we can, like, really dial our shit in. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, I've had a lot of failure in the past, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of failure in the future. But it's just figuring out how to course correct and continue. But it's nice that people aren't, hella talking shit anymore, because that is not helping.
We do still appreciate the few haters, though.
Yeah, we got a couple of them.
We
got a couple of them. We got a couple of them that think that they don't know that we know that they talk shit, dude. We know.
We got people calling our customers and trying to convince them to send their boards back.
Yeah,
awesome.
I love that.
Wow.
Keep on it, bro, because guess what will happen? We will continue to work hard and work hard and work hard. So until we have the best board on the market in the U.S.
Yep.
End of story. That's what we'll keep doing. It takes a long time. People don't understand that.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. But
what does Kim Jong-un say? They hate us.
Okay, we are not.
They hate us because they ain't us, dude.
I was like, what?
Where are we going? Where's James going, dude?
with
Where's
this,
James going? And on that note, dude.
All right. Anyways, good luck to everybody with, it's a business with Lacroix.
Yeah.
I hope everyone gets their money back.
Yeah, if you guys got any questions, reach out to us. We'll help.
Yeah.
We'll hold a little memorial service for him. So if you have anything nice to say.
Oh, gosh. So anyways, thanks for watching, and this is a wild episode. We kind of just winged it, dude, but it's wild.
It's good to be back.
I just hope all of our U.S. companies mad success. That's all I'll say. I just want the U.S.
I wish success for everybody, because I want to make sure that it's still at the end of the day, motherfuckers can pay rent, feed their children, and sleep
and still
in a
buy
warm
skateboards
room.
properly.
Yeah, right, dude?
Yep.
All right, guys.
See ya.